All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we are actually live in full effect, and we got the one and only, we got DJ, producer, MC. This man is a jack of all trades within the music industry. We got the one and only DJ Walt Liquor right here, live on the line, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Peace, everybody. What's cracking, Canada? What it do?
Hey, man, doing best we can possibly be, man. Just enjoying the Easter weekend, enjoying the long weekend. How's everything out there on your end?
Man, I'm good. You on the East Coast or you on the West Coast? You on the East Coast, huh?
East Coast, yeah. We're right across the border from New York State.
Okay, got you. That's what's up. Yeah, man, everything's good, bro. We out here, sun shining, California. You know, it's good.
I gotta say, man, I'm definitely jealous, man. We actually got snow down here earlier, man. So just knowing that you're out there under the palm trees, man. I can tell you, our listeners are definitely jealous right now.
Oh man, you know, don't hate, congratulate, man. Just imagine it. You could be there too. Let's go.
But also, well, I know you're a busy individual, man, so I'm going to dive right into this interview, man. But I want to take you back to the early 90s where you were actually a member of the hip-hop trio called Mix Practice. I was wondering, what is the story behind that group? And, of course, how did you actually get connected with the other members?
Man, that's tight. You're taking it all the way back. That's dope. So, Mix Practice, man, that was a crew. Originally there was 4 members. It was myself, the artist named Stiz, who's the member that you're probably not mentioning, and then there was another guy, 2 other gentlemen. One was Flex, one was Pop. Those are we all kind of grew up in the same area, not from the same schools, but just hip hop kind of connected us. This is before the internet. You know what I mean? Like hip hop connected individual just because we were on the same wavelength. We found each other even though we were miles apart. So that's kind of what the Mixed Practice thing was. It was an eclectic crew that was tied to some a dance crew and DJ crews. Like that's how we was rolling back in the 90s in the Bay Area specifically.
And I gotta say as well, you guys had such phenomenal chemistry as well, man. And you guys actually released the project in '95. Cassette tape, so my apologies, a cassette tape release titled Homegrown, the EP. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that record, and of course, why wasn't there ever a follow-up project?
Oh, wow, okay. So, Homegrown, was the trip about that was the first time we had gotten really into a big studio and everything. Everything before that was 4-track and all of that. That was probably towards the end of high school, and what happened after that, well, actually, let's not go there yet. The chemistry was, I did all the music. I was the producer. I produced all the tracks that we rhymed on, and then we had, it was ill because, we had myself, we had my man Stiz, who was from Oakland, we had my man Prop, who was from Hayward, but really he was from Africa. He's from Zimbabwe. So we had like an international kind of perspective on things. And then we had my man Flex, who was wild. He was from Brooklyn, New York, Flatbush, Brooklyn, and also Haitian. So he brought a lot of wild flavor, to the group. And that's kind of, why you hear the difference, like the different voices, the tones, and just how it kind of all came together. That's why it was all called Mixed Practice. It was just like a big smorgasbord of us practicing our different styles,
And also as well, for the listeners that might not have had the opportunity to hear this early release project by you guys, I actually have one of the songs locked and loaded, Time, Bass, and Space, to actually play immediately after this broadcast here on the Canadian FM dial.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, play that, man. That's tight. That's being Prop. That was our signature joint. You picked out the signature joint, man. That was the one.
And I have to ask, pertaining to that song, me personally, I'm very familiar with that project, but for the listeners that might not have had the opportunity to listen to this, what can they expect when I actually play that track immediately following this interview?
Man, it was it's some grimy 4-track-ish, like, and it's real heavy on the bass. And two youngsters going back to back. That song is me and my man Prop. That's dope that you brought that up. Yeah, and you could, matter of fact, that project, even though it was made that long ago, One, it's on streaming platforms so people can hear it. But I'm also working on re-releasing that as a vinyl release in the coming up pretty soon.
And also as well, I actually read as well that in your senior year of high school, you actually began producing, engineering, and releasing your own records. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about that. And of course, what was some of the daily struggles you faced during those times? Because of course, nowadays you just upload it to DistroKid and it's everywhere. But back then, you really had to market yourself and really put in the time and the grind to make it happen.
Man, the truth, bro. It was, it's not to sound like a dinosaur from the 1900s or nothing like that, but I'm telling you, this was pre-internet, so it was a different thing. Everything was analog. You had to work harder to actually put together music and to get it out to the people. It wasn't, there was no internet to sell. There was no Spotify for everybody to immediately get. Like, this is back in the day when you had to get records in the stores, and at first we couldn't get our records in the stores. They wouldn't take it. And I come from, I'm from the Bay Area hip hop movement of the '90s. Where that was selling tapes out of the trunk. I'm from the Bay, so it's out the trunk with it. We'll make the music at our house or whatever studio we go to and figure out. We're real ingenuitive. Everything I learned about business, I learned through music because I wanted people to hear what we were doing. So, I learned how to start my first companies as a teenager and how to manufacture, and before we even manufactured, we were just dubbing tapes, two cassettes back to back. You make the joint on the 4-track, that's your master, and then spend all day dubbing tapes. I used to go to the Costco and buy tapes at, whatever, at $1 a piece, and then sell them for $10 a pop, so and keep all the profit and reinvest it. So we were, it was real ingenious, and eventually we were out selling tapes on the block, in front of colleges in the Bay Area. There was lots of colleges, so we would go where there's always fresh kids and fresh people coming in that, we ask, you like hip hop music? Check this out. On the Walkman, people buy a tape, $5, or take a tape. And then all of a sudden, you start building a little fan base like that. People hearing the music, because we had good music, even though it wasn't on a major label, and that was our thing. It was like, it don't got to be on a major label. What we do is valuable just as what it is. It's not a demo. These are our songs, and we would do shows and rip major artists that would come to town, and I'm talking, when I say we, I'm talking about acts like, of course, myself, Mixed Practice, and my crew, but acts like Mystic Journeyman, like Derelicts out of San Jose, groups like Board Stiff out of the city, Hobo Junction, Grouch was around, Merch was around. I mean, there was a lot, and there's way more than that, that I'm not mentioning, but, there was a scene of hungry artists and MCs that wanted to be heard, and we had to be on our toes and thinking of how to get that stuff done. We used to go make our own tape covers and our own posters and, stand out in front of the store selling tapes so long that eventually the stores wanted to put the tapes in the store, and we would outsell the major stuff, and that's how it just kind of started growing and snowballing from there.
And I gotta say as well, in my personal opinion, I would much rather be on the street corner slanging CDs or tapes out of the trunk and whatnot than just uploading a song to the internet, man. I always felt the hard copies, even if someone doesn't like it and they just say they throw it on the ground, some person can pick that up and you never know who that person knows.
Right. Well, it's a trip that you say that, because even now it's kind of going back to that, bro. Like, honestly, we're pressing physicals again nowadays, like vinyl, CDs, cassettes, because I tell you the truth, that's the only way that you can own music nowadays. Like, except for these NFTs and stuff like that. But besides that, if Spotify turned off tomorrow, y'all are screwed. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't got nothing.
I'm gonna be honest, though. I already know I'm safe. I got about 4 or 5 crates of just nonstop CDs in my closet, man. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely good.
Well, you're a DJ. You're on the air. Like, you're about music like that. So yeah, you're gonna have possession of stuff like that. But the average person, You know, they're just plugged in to the matrix and leasing music. You don't own it. If somebody, they turn those services off, you don't got nothing to listen to. You got to come to my house because I got crates. And I got, you know what I mean? I got crates of records and, like you said, CDs and cassettes and you know, I can play it on a little tape deck or radio. Everybody got to gather around. You know what I mean?
And also as well, when we're actually on the topic of just like older projects and whatnot, man, in the year 1996, you actually released my personal project of yours, which is actually your self-titled album titled Eclipse 427. I was wondering if you can actually tell us the story behind this legendary project, and of course, is that one also still available to be streamed or purchased today?
You know, that's a trip, bro. You bringing me back. Yeah, the 427 joint. That was my when the group Mixed Practices split up. You know, I made all my own music, so I finally dropped my own stuff. The 427 is my birthday, April 27th, which is coming up. And it was just signifying my birth as an MC, and that's why it's always been on my name. Now that record, you know, it's not on the streaming platforms. But if you go on YouTube, you can find it. There's people that are streaming it on YouTube. I'm probably gonna wind up putting that on vinyl and re-releasing that too soon too. But it's a collection of songs, man, from that age. You know, that time. I think I was like 17, 18 years old, maybe when I did that. You know, I still had dreads. I was an ASR 10 and a 4-track in my crib, and just expressing myself, yo. You know, that's really all it was, and it was at a time in the Bay when there was a lot of outlets for that. You know, everything from, you know, college radio, you know, up and down the Bay and around the state, and also we had the Wake Up Show and stuff like that here at the time. So it was a lot of hip hop activities, a lot of live concerts that we would open up or do our own shows, headline, and all of that, man. It was a good time.
And I got to say, the one song that I personally really enjoyed the most off that project was actually track 5, I titled "Who's Next," featuring Peekaboo, man. I thought you guys had such phenomenal chemistry on that particular joint.
That's dope. Yeah, that was my young guy, man. Peek is was a ferocious MC, is a ferocious MC and a good father, man. That's my guy.
And also as well, man, you have actually done a substantial amount of work with the one and only Planet Asia. I was wondering, how did yourself and Asia originally get connected? And of course, what was it like just being in the studio working with him?
Well, that's how we met, was in the studio, really, initially. I recorded a lot of Asia's early stuff. I recorded and engineered and mixed his first EP with Fanatic, who produced it. That's how we really got to know each other, was working in the lab. But I mean, when he came to the Bay, he was on fire. He came in with Rasco. You know, this was the early Stone Store era, and Asia's just has always been a fire lyricist. Always. You know, just the way of saying things and pulling things together from the street to the esoteric, and always, bro, always sharp. I've never heard a lacking bar from that brother. So, you know, when we met, I was 18. I had a 24-track studio, which is why I worked with so many people at that time. It wasn't that easy to have that, you know. But I had that, so I recorded lots of folks, and he was one of the ones that came to me, and you know, I remember seeing him perform once, and was just like, man, this dude is so dope. And he asked me to manage him, you know, because he knew what my pedigree was in the Bay, and how much I knew, you know, how many people I knew, and the moves that I was making for myself, and then also recording everybody. He just wasn't, you know, being the intelligent person he was, like, hey man, why don't you manage it? You know, I had the studio, gave him free studio time. You know, that might have been why he did it. I don't know. You know, but he gave me something. I had connections, and I had people that I knew that worked at labels and stuff like that. So, you know, he had heat. So I started organizing all this stuff and put a kit together when I first started working with him. everybody wanted Rascal because he was like he was Rascal's hype man. That's what he was. You know what I'm saying? He was Rascal's hype man on Rascal's first run or two, and then eventually I was able to start having him have his own shows. But at first I tried to get an Asia show, and they wanted well, can we pay Rascal and have Asia come for free? But just working with him over the years, just super sharp, man. Like always forward thinking with the pen and the bars. I still think he's one of the best.
And I gotta say, my personal opinion, one of the best projects you guys actually released together was actually the single. I believe it was like 98, 99 criteria, Bringing It Back, man. You guys absolutely blew that track out of the water, in my opinion.
Yep, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, that was a favorite, always a favorite, man. It was a special time in hip hop. That's kind of the tail end of the golden age, the golden era. I say, the late '90s, and vinyl was big, and we were selling lots of it, and touring, and all of that, man. Those were great times. Revolution on the cut, almost no more perfect cuts than what Revolution laid down in them eras,
And if I'm not mistaken as well, I believe the producer of that project was actually Cut Master Kurt. I could be wrong though.
Right, Cut Master Kurt did the remix. See, it was on the flip side of that vinyl, there was another version, which was the original version that Fanatic had done. Fanatic produced the original, and then Cut Master Kurt did the remix and put Revolution on the cut, and that one, how it goes, the B-side always wins, so that wound up being the one that actually blew up, that version of it. So that's kind of how that came together. But we were already working with Kurt, at that time, and always with Revolution, and we just all fam. And shout out to M Boogie and Blackberry Records that put that out, at that time.
And also as well, aside from actually being an MC and whatnot, you were also a part of the management team that actually discovered the rock group Maroon 5. I was wondering, how did yourself and the rest of the team originally discover that band? And of course, what actually made you guys decide to represent them when you first found them?
What's the trip about that is, that was down there. I started coming down to L.A., and my management company at the time was called Bat Management, Bogart and Taylor. It was myself and a guy named Evan Bogart, big-time songwriter, executive down there now. But anyway, one of our junior manager partners at the time was a cat named Jordan Feldstein. All these guys was connected, and he knew of Adam. Him and Adam had actually grown up together, right? So at the time, they weren't even called Maroon 5, right? They were called Karis Flowers when we started working with them, and they had been, that first album, Songs About Jane, had already been, it was damn near a couple years old at the time, but they'd been playing it around LA and everything. And we picked them up, changed the name, repackaged the product, and then went back out. Took another couple years for them to get the deal, and then it took another couple years for it to go platinum finally, right? Almost 6-7 years before that first record went platinum, and they worked the hell out of it. I was really only involved on the first record, so I won't act like I was involved with all of their success, but I was definitely one of the votes that changed their name to Maroon 5 and Karis Flowers, I can tell you that.
And I gotta say, you guys definitely discovered a phenomenal group, because I do know it's not hip-hop, of course, but,
right.
Any DJ can definitely appreciate what they do, man, because Maroon 5 is definitely have been making waves for so many years within the music industry.
Man, all praise is due to that voice, and the vision. Like they stuck through that, and really, yeah, it was. We knew it was special. We knew it was special, and the team just kind of got behind it and worked the hell out of it. Like I always tell artists, it's like it's never overnight, man. Biggest rock group in the world, like that you look at now. You would never understand how long it took them to start that off. Because you cats put out records and throw them away the next day,
And also as well, you've also had the opportunity to actually work alongside West Coast female MC Mystic. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about that experience, and of course, how did you originally become her representation?
Right. Well, actually, let me tell you one more in between. We also had at that management company with me and Evan, we had Styles of Beyond, which was also Fort Minor. We had them with Cheap Shot. We had and who else do we have? Rock from Helter Skelter, on the Mystic, who I had met. I met working with another artist from the Bay. I think they shared managers at the time. I worked with her early as she was, an MC and just kind of starting to get into writing songs. I worked with her as a producer first. And she was another one of those artists that would come to my studio, and then eventually, as I became a manager, and artists knew, they knew I could, one, deal with them on an artistic level. I had a studio, and I could get deals done, and my artists were touring and just doing the work, So she came to me in that time and had a great project. She was working with Good Vibe, in Digital Underground, and I had actually produced one of the songs prior to all of that wound up on the album. So it was just kind of synergistic, and just under a great MC, another great MC. That's my thing. I love great MCs, and she's one of them, and just a phenomenal artist, and really knows how to put her soul energy into the music, And I watched a lot of people connect to her and relate to her in that way, and she's got the type of female artist energy that I appreciate. It's not necessarily, she's not a gangster, she's not a stripper, she's not, you know what I mean, trying to be anything that more than just a strong, powerful black woman with wisdom and good energy to give out. That's what I love about it.
I definitely agree, man. I love those artists that actually let their voice and let their music and their talent do the talking for them. Sometimes artists out there, they kind of use their, like you kind of said, like stripper type thing, but at least with her, she lets the voice do the talking for her.
Yeah, I mean, it's nothing against strippers. I love my strippers out there too. I'm just saying that's not the only perspective of a female on the mic. And I appreciate like the Cyrocs and the Lyric Joneses and the Lauryn Hills. I wish there was a few more of them. You know what I mean? Jean Grays and these women that got bars. And so Mystic is my that's our I'm from the Bay. That's our queen lyricist. She's the first Bay Area female to get a Grammy nomination like that. We had a great ride with her project, a great and a wild ride. I worked with Kanye with her. Like I got to work with Kanye in the early Genius days because he did 2 joints with her. And we got a new project coming too. Don't even sleep. Like I produced a whole new album for her that's coming soon.
And also as well, you are currently the music supervisor for Tyler Perry Studios. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about that experience, and of course, how did you originally land the position at that studio? Because Tyler Perry Studios is freaking huge.
Yeah, it is, man. It's this is it's like the opportunity of a lifetime. There's only 3 supervisors at that studio, and I'm one of them. One of the other ones is the president of the guild, the supervisor. So it's rarefied air. You know what I mean? But it's been really, really great. Such an opportunity. It came to me during the pandemic, which is crazy. And it's really a right place, right time, right person type of trip. Right place, right time for the opportunity to come during the pandemic, and they were looking for somebody. My name came up, my company's name came up, and we aced the interview, and then they gave us a shot, pretty much, and the thing is that because it was during the pandemic, that like everything was shut down, and because I have my own studio and I know how to use so much different stuff, I was able to deliver what they needed technically at a high level on my own quickly, which is what they needed because they run faster and harder than any studio out there. But it's been a blessing, man. Like, so I work on a show called All the Queen's Men. We're going into the second season, and they came looking for a sound, for the show. They were like, look, we need this show to sound like Atlanta because it's an Atlanta-based show. And I'm not from Atlanta, but I'm a DJ and I know music. And they were like, and I'm able to paint a picture. And they gave me the freedom to do it because I'm out here on my own, and I get to do it at my crib out of Cali, to paint the audio picture for that show. And I painted it different than anybody else painted it, and it's working. So that's where we at.
And also as well, you are actually the founder and CEO of the Fairview Group. It's actually a music business affairs where you actually do like sample clearances, administration, and licensing, and all that great stuff. For the independent artists that actually don't know very much about this and also want to inquire about maybe getting a sample cleared for their next track, how can they go about getting a hold of the Fairview Group to actually potentially get you guys to help out with their next project?
Oh, that's easy. Okay, you can go to FairviewMBA.com. MBA is Music Business Affairs. There's forms on the site to fill out. You can email me, Walt at FairviewMBA.com. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear from you and try to give you some answers. But the basis of it is, I've done just about everything that you could do in a music business except be a lawyer and security. So I've got a wide array of experiences, which led me into being a music administrator because I've had to deal with every side of it, and this is where the real deal is copyrights and how copyrights generate money. You're making a copyright as an artist. You're making a song. It's got 2 copyrights. And you get rights with those, and you're the only one that has those unless you sell them or license those rights away, and that's how you make money with the business. And I've learned that. I've just learned that, and I want to help artists get through that because we're in the age of independence. I'm from an independent place. I get that. I've been moving my own records since I was a teenager. And I worked at major distributors. I've worked at major labels. I've produced artists. I know everything about it. And I just want young artists to get this information about what they're doing because they don't have it. All they know is you make a song, you put it up, you get some iTunes money, and they wind up losing, 50 to 75% of the money that could be coming to them because they haven't done all the things necessary to get that money. And it's not rocket science, but it's just, if you don't know, you don't know. So my company is about that. It's about helping artists navigate signing up their publishing companies and all of that type of stuff that it takes to get these royalties. And I don't know how much they're going to make. I hope they make millions of dollars, but I know they won't get it if they don't do the stuff I'm talking about. So, that's what my company is about. So we do administration for labels, for artists, for managers, anybody that needs that help, reach out to us. We also clear samples. We do music clearances, which is which is the majority of what the supervision job is for Tyler Perry. Is all the songs we use have to be cleared. But then anybody that's got samples in their work, and that's not only you taking a record and flipping chopping a sample up off of a record. It's also replaying stuff. It may not be a sample, but that's an interpolation. Somebody, you have to get the rights if you're replaying people's music, and also if keeping it all the way 100. If you singing a lyric and you might borrow a line from Biggie, or you might borrow a line from so and so and kind of put it in your rhyme and start your rhyme off that way, and it's cool, but that's a sample too. That's a copyrighted to work that you made it a derivative of, and you got to get a license for that. So, my company can help navigate doing those processes and getting that paperwork, so you don't get copyright strikes and have your music taken down because you didn't really do it. That's what Fairview MBA is all about. So y'all, any artists out there want to be an artist and not get copyright strikes all on your video, come to Fairview MBA.
I gotta say, man, I definitely loved that Suge Knight inspirational and ending that answer, man. That was phenomenal.
I don't know if you caught that.
For a second there, I thought I was hosting the Source Awards there for a moment, man.
Right.
I gotta say, man, that's definitely lit. I really hope that actually brings people over there, man, because I'm not gonna lie. If I was an artist, I'd be like, yo, sign me up right now.
Right. I was just listening to Snoop Dogg on Drink Champs. That's where that came from. I was like,
But
yeah, I mean, it's real talk. It's real business. Because even, look, and let me say this, too. Even y'all going into this Web3 NFT, like all of that, still copyright. Still a master, still publishing. You got to understand the basics and the fundamentals of music business if you're going to be an artist. And you want to put your music out and you say you're a professional, you should learn these things. It's not rocket science, yo. Get with us.
And also, as well, you actually have your own radio program called The Walt Liquor Show. I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about the show. And, of course, where can we actually tune in and listen weekly?
Well, you know what? That's not I am The Walt Liquor Show. That's my daily broadcast. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an actual thing. But at a time, I was on radio. I was doing mix show radio out here in the Bay Area on a throwback station called Q102. And, I was starting to do a little talk show. So there's actually 4 episodes that we put together, kind of like on some sketch comedy. But I never released it. I might put it out one day, though.
But I have to ask, what is next for yourself, DJ Walt Liquorman? Is there anything we happen to miss during this broadcast? Anything else you do still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on the FM dial this evening, because I know we only touched base on like 1% of your iconic career so far this evening. Yeah,
man. Really, just pay attention, stay tuned. But like I said, I got the Mystic album coming soon. That'll be dropping this summer. It's really, really, really dope music. I got another Fashion. Check out, I just released a Fashion album with Sir Veterano on my label Fresh Yard Records. You guys can check us out at FreshYardRecords.com. Got a deluxe album from Fashion coming. Got a project with Planet Asia. I got a Mitchie Slick album coming very soon called Everybody Hates Mitch, produced by Sir Veterano. These are records that I'm executive producing. What else is coming? Season 2 of All the Queen's Men is coming soon on BET Plus, and much more after that. Look out for my man Brandon Rossi or Lord Rossi from Atlanta. He's fire. We got a fire project that we're working on, and that's it, and much more. But that's all I got to report right now. We'll be talking for days.
And also, man, this is the time in the interview quickly that I do give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give, shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything you got going on, past, present, and, of course, the future.
Right. You catch me at Walt Liquor, WALTLIQUOR, like you owe me some money. And that is at most of the social media, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm mostly on IG, though, so Walt Liquor IG is the best place to follow me.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Walt, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening and sliding into the 97.7 FM airwaves. It definitely was an honor and most definitely a privilege, man. And hopefully down the line we can actually make this happen again sometime soon as well.
Yeah, no, dope, man. Thanks for taking interest, and I hope you guys have a good one. And, just keep your ears open. You're going to hear more from me in the future.
Hey, most definitely. And you definitely have yourself a wonderful Easter weekend as well, man. And we definitely shall talk here soon, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much again.
All right, right off, man.